concept. It includes the doing of things and abstaining from things. Obeying the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commandments and not disobeying His commandments too. Remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also. There is distinction between these elements, and I need to be aware of that. Being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all the forms of shukr that we understand, at the same time not being ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is captured, as I related this earlier, in this comprehensive term in Urdu and in Persian, bandagi. Banda is the devotee who gets attached to Allah by sincere devotion, which is bandagi. And the couplet is Zindagi Ahmad Barai Bandagi, that life has purpose with devotion. And Zindagi Bandagi Sharbindagi, life without devotion is a disgrace. It's good for me to keep in mind. My life needs to have a purpose, and I need to be a banda, a devotee of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding what He demands from me, following it. And the understanding that if I do not have this driving purpose of connecting and following the commandments of Allah, my life is a disgrace. Whether it is in this world or in the hereafter. Astaghfirullah, may Allah keep us protected from that. So, brothers and sisters, in the last 5 minutes or so that I have, there's this tradition that you all are familiar with, we all are, but it still bears repetition for us on this concept of being mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm taking a moment to address the person through whom this tradition comes to us also. Inshallah we are aware, but let's be reminded. Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, he was the son of Abbas, an uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, born just 3 years before the Hijrah that we talked about. And when the Prophet alayhi wa sallam died, young Abdullah was about 13 years old. By the way, his mother, al-Fadl, was the second woman who converted to Islam on the same day as her close friend Khadija radiallahu anha. Traditions reveal how blessed Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was right from his youth. When he reached an age of understanding, he attached himself to the service of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He narrates this tradition. He said, once the Prophet ﷺ was on the point of performing wudu, I hurried to get water ready for him. He was pleased with what I was doing, and he was about to begin the salah. This is this young man. He gets an idea of his thinking. He said the Prophet ﷺ was about to begin the salah, and he indicated to me, stand by my side. The Prophet started the salah, and he said, I stood behind the Prophet. And when the salah was finished, the Prophet, he said, turned to me and said, what prevented you, Abdullah, from standing at my side? And Abdullah said, I responded, you are too great in my eyes, O Prophet, for me to stand side by side with you. This was a young man, 10 years of age. On hearing this, the Prophet ﷺ raised his hands to the heavens and prayed, Ya Allah, grant him wisdom. In another tradition, he turned to Allah and said, Oh Allah, grant him understanding, the fiqh of the religion, and teach him the explanation of the Quran. And he grew up to be a luminary in the understanding of the Quran and interpreting it and passing it on. So I laid that as a backdrop of who the tradition is coming from. He narrates a tradition about how he was once advised by the Prophet Muhammad, the same one who had prayed to Allah for his wisdom. He said, one day I was writing behind the Prophet, and he said to me, young man, I shall teach you some words of advice. Be mindful of Allah, and Allah will protect you. We go back to taqwa. Be mindful of Allah, and you will find Him in front of you. When you ask Allah alone. When you seek help, seek from Allah alone. And know if the entire nation were to gather together to benefit you, they would not be able to do so except with what Allah has prescribed for you. And if you were to gather together, if they gather together to harm you, they would not harm you except with what Allah has already prescribed for you. And he said, the pens have written and the pens have lifted and the pages have written, saying, this is comprehensive prescription from me. In another narration of the same tradition, he says, the Prophet told him, be mindful of Allah and you will find him in front of you. Recognize Allah in times of ease and prosperity, and He will remember you in times of difficulty. And know that victory comes with patience, relief with affliction, and ease with hardship. That is the tradition. So profound. If I could just latch onto this and try to follow the stage, inshallah, that will be enough for salvation. So let us very quickly focus on the key points. We are to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everywhere and all the time. Remembering Allah's commandments, taking care of our obligations, keeping away from what we are forbidden from. As a result, He guarantees us protection from evil in this world, and on the day of judgment, we will be protected from hellfire and be admitted into Jannah. So the proximity of Allah, the taqwa, the connection to Allah, comes from our mindfulness and devotion to Him. We constantly have to be aware and reaching out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, whenever we need any support or help, we ask only from Allah, because Allah is the only one who can answer and provide. Do the good for us, prevent the evil from us. And we are told you must place your total trust in Allah and be certain that nothing can benefit us unless Allah does. Nothing can harm us unless Allah so desires. And we are reminded, as I brothers and sisters, to remember, recognize, and be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in times of ease and prosperity. This can lead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remembering us and addressing us in times of difficulty and challenges for us. So we are to be patient when tested, hoping for the best to come. And know, we are told, that victory comes with patience, relief with affliction, and ease with hardship. So, brothers and sisters, I end with this strong reminder for all of us. As we assess the past, particularly the year that has gone by, and as we launch into the new year, it is important that I take some time to honestly assess myself. Individually, nobody is around, and be brutally honest and say, where have you failed? Then identify the things that are needed, basing it on connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll also do this with our spouses and our children and our families and friends, because this assessment for each household is comprehensively needed. And then we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with absolute submission before His Majesty, acknowledging in humility our transgressions, seeking forgiveness from Allah, and praying for Hidayah and a close connection. That sincere devotion, the remembrance of Allah, the zikr, the constant appreciation of Allah is important. And end with this reminder in another couplet, the Persian. His remembrance, the remembrance of Allah, is the foundation of faith. And every beggar becomes a king by the remembrance of his Lord in sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us truly appreciate the tremendousness of His power and His majesty. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us appreciate in our humility the blessings that He has given. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us turn to Him constantly in remembrance and elevate us in stature in this world and inshallah in the hereafter. We pray for easing of difficulty all over the world. As this new year starts, we pray for prosperity and stability and peace around the world, and particularly for our dear brothers and sisters all over. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا ومولانا محمد بعدد من صلى الركعات. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد بعدد من قال القام. اللهم صل على جميع الانبياء والمرسلين وعلى سائر الصحابه وخلفاء الراشدين والتابعين وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين. اللهم قوي ايمان اخواننا واخواتنا في كل مكان، خصوصا في فلسطين وسوريا واليمن وكل الجزائر وكل عفريق وكل عريق وكل ماليزيا، خصوصا اندونيسيا وماليزيا وإيران وعراق وأفغانستان وهند وباكستان وبنغلاديش وكشمير وميانمار وتين وروس وتركيا وفي كل مكان. اللهم قو إيمانهم وثبت أقدامهم وانصرهم على عدوهم. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم ارحم والدينا ووالد والدينا. ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما. اللهم فرج كروب المسلمين وعامر روات المسلمين واستر عورات المسلمين واستر عورات المسلمين واستر عورات المسلمين. اللهم انا اعوذ بك من كل سيء السقام. اللهم انا نسالك العافيه. امين يا رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله، ان الله يامر بالعدل والاحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر. أقيموا الصلاة. Inshallah, we will be moving forward to the left and the right. We will accommodate everybody and we'll take a moment to look to your left and right and adjust your roles, straighten them as best possible in time. Give just a few seconds. The sisters too, please straighten up your line as best as you can.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط